Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is a DADCAW. It is the 17th of March, 2020, 10:42 in the evening. I don't know why I stuttered, or didn't stutter, but I stopped talking for a very long time while I fetched the day, month, year, time. It's just one of those weeks, one of those months. Actually, I can't really say one of those anything, because the only people who would understand what the fuck I'm talking about are other people who are living through it, I guess, which is probably you guys. I don't know of any area that isn't been at least somewhat affected, at least tangentially, by the absolute insanity of the coronavirus, the Wu flu, as it were. But we've been making do. I have somehow managed to avoid having my work or personal life affected too heavily. I guess I'm inside a little bit more on my days off than I usually am. I can't go to the gym anymore. That is a bit of a frustrating element, since I was just now finding some consistency with it, and then a global pandemic had to come in and ruin my day. But that being said, I'm much happier armed with the knowledge that I'm not unwittingly exposing myself and potentially my family members and coworkers and etc. to any deadly pathogen. So that has been happening. I hope everybody's staying safe. I also understand it's probably very tiring to hear anything about this insane pandemic that we are experiencing, considering for, many different people already believe that it's overblown, or some people think it's undersold in terms of how important it is. I would say from the people who have been first responders for this sort of thing, and hospital workers and stuff that I've spoken with and come into contact with in my time in the past week or so, I really would strongly urge against shutting yourself off completely, even though that may seem like a very compelling idea for the sake of keeping yourself sane. I think it is still important to maybe not. I don't know about the whole wearing personal protective equipment thing. The masks, the surgical masks and stuff, mostly to stop you from infecting anybody else. So if you feel sick, or if you have anything like that, and maybe you just have a cough for a completely different and benign reason in theory, sure, put one of those on and stop yourself from spreading anything, or at least to allay any concerns of your neighbors, your cohabitors on this planet. But otherwise, I don't think there's really much of a reason. It's not going to help you, because it is airborne. It's not like it's spittle-borne or anything, although I'm sure that would also happen. But if you're already at that point where you're experiencing that, you're also breathing it in. So really, there's not too much that you can do in that sense that any equipment is going to help, unless it's actually a filtrated, closed system, like an actual gas mask, basically an apocalypse mask, if you will. So yeah, if you got one of those lying around and it's all good, sure, wear that outside and be laughed at, I guess, but be confident in your ability to not get it. I would just say exercise some caution and try not to go out when unnecessary, right? That would be my advice to anybody who cares to heed it. Obviously, I'm no expert. That seems like the sane thing to do. Now, I'm not normally somebody who subscribes to a lot of the groupthink that's out there, but in this case, it does seem like the most sane approach to take in that sense. Just I'm not really a fan of self-isolating either. I actually really like going out to the gym, and I like going for walks or just running or whatever. And I found some solace in the fact that I can go to the woods lately. The past 2 days, my family's gone there, and I went with them today. It was pretty nice. It was nice to be out in the world and seeing some people who were also out in the world. And it seemed like while people were on edge, it wasn't nearly as bad as it used to be. And so, not nearly as bad as it was in my workplace, which is obviously a grocery store. So it's, of course, that's going to be very complicated. But if you have access to something like that, if you have access to some nature, that will be helpful for you in many ways, especially in the fact that you'll be able to leave the house and be able to go out there and be outside. And so you won't go stir crazy, ideally. So that would be my other word of wisdom for you. Another little idea, life hack in these very, very strange times that we live in. What else has been going on lately? Been working on Inconsummate. That's been nice. I have not really worked too heavily on the Unreal project, but as discussed in the recent Big Boys Table upload, that is still a heavy consideration for me, and something that I have been thinking quite a bit about, and something that I aim to return to very soon. And I will probably be doing some public live streams of some of the level design and all that when I have a framework within which to actually make levels, because right now I don't really even have guns or anything. I don't have anything really hooked up yet, so I'm going to get the basics down. I'm going to get some bots that can walk around and shoot me, and once I have something resembling the foundational mechanics of an FPS, I will start to work on levels and start to work on more out there game mechanics and see what else I can come up with. But we'll see what happens. Yeah, I'm still very interested in looking into that. No idea if that's going to be this month. Certain things have definitely shifted into more of what what I feel like I can get done right now, and what I feel like I can make meaningful progress on right now as of late. And part of that is probably due to the whole pandemic thing, and part of it is also just since I have been. It has definitely affected me in some ways. Like, I'm definitely more stressed out than about just in general. My general stress level is probably most certainly higher than what it was like last month, maybe. So I'm working hard to try to rein that in, but it is pretty difficult in these kind of times. So as a result, I haven't had the willpower to dedicate towards working on something brand new and unfamiliar, whereas I would rather make meaningful strides and stuff that I'm currently working on and that I will be working on for the foreseeable future, at least for the next year or so, the immediate future, I should say. And so aspects of my life like that have definitely been contributing. But one of the upsides to this whole quarantine and this whole and everything like this, all of the craziness that we're now living in, is I do genuinely feel more connected to a lot of the community members that I have come to know. And obviously I already considered a lot of you guys my friends anyway. But insofar as we're all suffering a very similar, like, imminent threat in some cases, in some contexts, you can consider it an imminent threat, right? And the fact that it's making humans around us very uneasy and stressed out. Another aspect of it is, just the shared experience. The fact that we're all sharing that sort of thing is, I think it has drawn me a bit closer, leveled the playing field a little bit, made me more understanding of what the average person is going through in general, because it's all something that we all share at this point. Obviously, it's affecting us to different degrees. I know Dynamo and Mao Li, for example, are both in Italy, and so those people are more disproportionately affected. Maybe I have some Chinese viewers as well who have not really stepped in and talked much, but in that situation, obviously, they would also be more immediately affected. Situations like that, I think, are naturally going to lead to some disparities in experience, but I do feel generally that people on my server are more warm, more receptive. Certainly, people can have their own reactions to stuff. I'm sure a lot of us are very stressed out, like I was saying earlier. Like, I'm sure our operating stress levels are higher than they were, a couple months ago or last year or whatever. But I also think that through this experience, assuming we all make it out relatively unscathed, which, we can't necessarily say is likely, but we're looking okay right now. If the worst that happens is that we end up, financially worse off than we were, but we have our health and we have our family and we're able to rebuild from there, then at the very least, we'll also have grown a little bit closer to each other and a little bit closer together, and had that sense of community bring us together in that way that we wouldn't have had otherwise. I'm not saying it's a good thing that this happened, and of course there's ways to do that without requiring a pandemic of a literally global scale. But while it's here, and we might as well make the best of it. So just one other thing to consider, knit yourself a little closer to your fellow man, see what ends up happening. You might find that we're all more alike than you thought, or some other cheesy bullshit message. But nonetheless, I guess in a weird kind of way, the best normalcy that I can keep offering myself and others is to continue doing these daily mod streams and to continue the schedule as best I can. My work has been crazy, but I've still worked all the days that I was going to work, besides one day that I called out sick for, just because I was not sick, but I did not want to be there. I'll put it to you that way. So there's situations like that have come up where, just once so far that's happened. But as long as I'm willing and able, I feel like, well, rather, as long as I am able, I am also willing. And it follows that I would hope that just by being here day in and day out, producing the content on a relatively daily output and a relatively consistent schedule, hopefully it helps you guys have that one little thing left that you can rely on. And particularly since a lot of us are now isolated or quarantined or whatever, you have more time to check out my content. and if you're one of those rare individuals who is a part of the community but doesn't have Brood War 161 installed, maybe you could check out the maps for Map Crap. We just finished one of those. Obviously, before that, we just finished a full toilet. So, yeah, we'll be making content. We'll be producing content, maps, videos, all sorts of stuff for you guys to play and take your mind off of the insanity. And pop by a stream. Maybe you're not usually a stream watcher, but it might help you, and it might, again, bring us all together in that same cheesy way that I was mentioning earlier. So, yeah, if you think that that's accurate enough, anyway, the offer is always there. I will always be streaming daily until, for whatever reason, I can't. And in that case, hopefully it's just a one-day streak breaker and I go back to it immediately after. But we shall see. So far, nothing crazily apocalyptic. Again, the most immediate thing I'm worried about is financial instability that is brought with this sort of thing. But as of right now, I've been able to work. Hopefully, everybody in my family is able to do the same, and we're all able to pull together and not have any significant issues. And yeah, I just hope that that's the case. I hope that that's the case for as many people as possible, of course, that the worst thing that they have to worry about is the finances, and that even those are not so bad that they can't rebuild after the fact. So, hearts open for you guys, and I hope you guys are staying safe. Hope you guys are somehow staying sane as well in this, again, very, very strange environment that we find ourselves in. So, chin up and all that. Obviously, if you need some help or you just need a vent, Discord channel is open for that sort of thing. Comment section here is open. Come to my stream and talk to me about all the shitty shit you got to deal with. That works too. But I appreciate you guys spending time. I appreciate you guys hanging out. Especially if you feel like you've got nothing better to do now that you're not able to go to school or go to work or do whatever it is you have to do. I mean, whatever service I can provide, if you want to call it a service at all, I'm happy to do that. So stay safe. Stay healthy. Best thing you can do is just do what you can, right? So leave it at that for you guys. Somehow we'll get through this all. I have some strange confidence. I don't know if it's misplaced or not, but I have some strange assuredness that we will come out the other way, the other end, and we will, maybe we will end up being stronger and more tightly bound because we suffered through all this together in a strange way, brought together by the internet, a series of tubes, of course. But even if that doesn't happen, at the very end of it all, I feel like we'll still all be here, still all be chatting, still all be looking to make some Brood War content, some RTS, FPS content. Making content, man. That's what life's all about, apparently. So come join me while I make some more in the future, and I will see you guys then. It's one hell of a ride we've signed ourselves up for inadvertently, so don't eat bats. Bye.